Banana. Predators.
Predators.
All right. So what we're going to talk about now. This is a Predators podcast. We're talking about people who get manipulated, cajoled. Is that a word?
Cajoled. Yeah, I like cajoled. Cajoled word.
They get tricked into whatever might happen to them. Something awful.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, the topic is child sex abuse. Which is awkward. And this actually stems from a movie that was very long. It involved Micheal Jackson. It's called Leaving Neverland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what are your feelings on Micheal Jackson? Just to set up who he was.
Oh, he definitely did it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he certainly did.
Oh, okay. Does Neverland actually admit it?
So it becomes very creepy and obvious because he has like a new child every year or so, and then like these guys like pinpointed like the same traits that he would do. So let's talk about like the circumstance. So like Micheal Jackson was a child predator, rich and famous, a celebrity. He was the biggest celebrity
abused
probably
as a child, right?
ever. Yeah, he lost his childhood.
He's up there.
I think he was abused, but I don't know his backstory on that.
I think it's pretty, like not sexually, but every other kind of abused.
Yeah, like he was
Mentally,
poured out in every other facet of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So
he was robbed of his childhood.
Yeah, and he was like one of the. So it's very obvious when you look at it in retrospect, but back then he was such a proponent for like children's happiness.
A better place.
Yeah. He would just like wanted to give children like a better childhood because he lost his. So the circumstance is that you have this mega star, or if you are like a fan, it's someone you trust because they're in your living room, they're on your TV, you're kind of familiar with them. You're definitely familiar with them.
If James Hatfield of Metallica fame was like, hey, I want to borrow your kid today. I'd be like, all right, James, I mean, where are you guys going? Monster truck rally? He'd be like, just want to borrow him for a week. Hey. I'd be like, a whole week? And he was like,
we're just going to...
me from Metallica, it's James. I'd be like, is he sleeping over your house? This is kind of weird, James.
Doesn't he like popcorn and candy?
Hey. I'd be like,
movies?
He does. Every kid likes those things. Wine in a Pepsi can?
But the point I'm making... I think it's a different container, but it kind of has the same kind of like...
Anyway.
Drinking... Yeah. So, the point I'm making is that, like, they're familiar. So, like, familiar... The root of that is family. So, a lot of the child sex abuse that happens is someone that you know, someone that you trust, someone that's family. Because they really take your trust and shit all over it. They make you believe that the child is safe and they're protected and they're like you. They're like another
parent. It's never
parent.
A stranger, because you imagine a stranger's like, hey, just go watch your kid for a little while. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
No, it has to be someone you trust.
Like the Micheal Jackson thing. Just leave him here. He'll come to my hotel room. Yeah. The crazy thing.
Ponies that go around on a merry-go-round. It's like, why do you... Sure. He likes ponies. Stay.
They actually had, like, the families, like, go with him to the different locations. Like, he'd go to, like, France and Germany. And then, like, their hotel rooms would get farther and farther away. So, like, he could, like, do more stuff with them, I guess. We'll get into it. But that's part of it. Is that, like, you're distancing the child from the parents. And you're convincing everyone that everything's fine. And at one point... they went to visit Micheal Jackson at his ranch, and they were on vacation, and Micheal Jackson just said, oh, you can go to the Grand Canyon, I'll take care of him. And the kid was like, I want to spend my week with Micheal Jackson. And they let him stay at the ranch for a week with Micheal Jackson without ever really knowing it. I think they met him for 4 hours. Yeah. So there's a weird element there that you can't really believe it.
Were they sort of getting paid for it then? Like the vacation?
So that is part of it. I think it's very obvious that one of the families that was in that documentary, Leaving Neverland, they got paid off for certain things. I think it's almost like child prostitution at that point.
Right, like sort of, but not
Yeah,
officially.
they can never admit
off
to
the
it.
record. Right.
And the other one was like, she either was like completely oblivious or like blocked it out of her mind. I don't know how, as a parent, since we're both parents, I don't know how you could be completely oblivious to you giving up protection over your child. Like, my child will never spend a night at an adult's house that I don't know.
A famous adult who suddenly wants to befriend your child.
Yeah, I'll teach him some
James
dance
Hatfield,
moves.
he's not coming out with you. Hey. Yeah.
Okay, so...
Ooh, yeah. I mean, like, that's a sweet riff. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's part of the setup. You make them happy. It's joyful. It's fun. It's safe. It's protected. And then you distance them from their parents. And that's when you execute. You tell them that, like, oh, they're going to be in trouble, like, and it's gonna bring us both down. It's like, you need to protect me. And then they do the sexual abuse. And this is the part that I think I didn't get until I watched that documentary, is that the sexual abuse, the child doesn't get it. But the child still feels good, because it feels good when someone touches your penis, but the child doesn't know what that is or what that means. And they start to make a connection between that abuser and the good feeling, and the abuser can tell them whatever they want to hear at that moment.
Well, is the other one also, I don't know if you just touched on it, isn't it, if you tell anyone, I'll kill your parents, or like it'll hurt your parents, or they'll get in trouble?
Yeah. That's heavy stuff. Especially for like,
well, that's like the John
7, 8
Coffey
year old
thing, which wasn't really John Coffey in the Green Mile. It was the other guy who was framed for. But he said that he kidnapped the two girls, and they were twin sisters. And he said, I'm going to do something to your sister. If you scream, I'll kill her.
Oh, yeah.
And then he did the same to the other girl. He said, don't you love your sister? Like, that's like the ultimate, I guess.
Uses your own
trust.
Yeah, own trust against you.
Oof.
So it flips your world around. So like a lot of these guys didn't realize they were abused until they had their own children, and then realized that they would never let their own children be abused in that way. Like, they were freaking out because they were seeing images of their own children being abused, and they're just like, I can't believe that happened to me. How did it happen? And like, it all of a sudden it like clicked in their brains, even though it only took them like 20 years, 30 years to feel that.
Mom, Dad, you got a lot of explaining to do.
Mm-hmm. So their reactions were kind of like
Ricky Ricardo.
Yeah, explaining. So you got a lot of. They reacted finally after that period of time, and they freaked out. It kind of like shatters what you believe to be like love and affection, because they genuinely loved him, and they testified to make sure that other children who were abused couldn't find him guilty.
It messes with your love, affection, all that stuff, because a lot of those people, perpetuate perpetuate the abuse.
It's like a relationship thing. Like, if your girlfriend is almost about to leave you, you feel like you want to keep her. Like, no, I want your attention. Give me your attention.
Don't leave.
Yeah. Oh, you're calling me again? Oh, I'd love to talk to you.
Here's your $1. $1 on
$1 on official
commercial from the it's a commercial from the 2012s. Everyone watching this in 2022.
Yeah. I think that covers most of it. The guilt comes out in that documentary, and then preventing and avoiding it. The prevention.
Yeah. How do you even spot it 100%? Like, if it's in another.
So the whole thing was that he was so manipulative that he would know when people were coming. So like, his setup at the ranch was such that he had beds like everywhere, like, and they would like be positioned in such a way that it would take a while to get to the bed, or there was a door that was locked, and then like they would knock on the door and he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was locked. So like, it disarms the person, and then when they go in to see their kid,
disarm a person.
No, it wouldn't disarm me.
I'm sorry, that door was locked. Oh, Michael thought it was locked. Everyone, guys, MJ thought it was locked. Oh, Michael. That's fine. You're famous.
But there's a misconception there. So like, the parent would go in and the child would just be normal. You know, you'd ask the child, like, did anything happen? And the child would be like, no, because he was scared. And then also, there's an idea that like rape or looks like something, like sexual abuse looks like the kid's been beaten or like fought, or like he's been like strangled or something, like something awful. So like, when a parent sees their child still happy and fully clothed and like nothing seems wrong, they assume that nothing happened. So like,
yeah, that makes sense.
it's disgusting, isn't it?
This is gross.
Yeah.
And I talk about like squeezing feces with my hand as like a joke. Like if you're playing it on a cop and the cop was like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "Grabbing horse turds." Like that's funny to me. This
is serious shit. So it's fucked up beyond belief because the kid doesn't know, and the only way to really, I guess, get the kid to talk about it is to make sure that they're willing to talk about anything, and then also don't let them be in the like possession of others that you don't trust.
Oh, yeah, don't let them
stay the night.
James Hatfield's house.
Yeah. The Sandman. That's what the story's about. It's entering the Sandman.
James, can I talk to my kid? Yeah.
So this is like helicopter parent. Like, be a helicopter parent, protect your kid. Always watch them, I guess. I don't know what else you would do. Got any ideas, Nick?
No, because you can't do that. It has nothing to do with that. I think it just has to do with putting them in weird situations and red flag up. I mean, if you have a red flag, be like, yo, let me check this out.
I think also there's like a level of protection that parents do for their children that they call like penises PPs and stuff, but I think that's a mistake. I think you should just call it a penis and like don't put a stigma on it. Like let them be able to talk about it and not be afraid of like, even though it's not like sexuality, whatever it is at that age, let them be able to be like, he did this to me. Like, that's what happened. This is factual. Like, there's no guilt associated with it.
He used his hand on my penis. And I'd be like, okay. And then he'd be like, then he had to use another hand. And then he had to use another hand. I'd be like, that's my boy. But anyway.
You can't stop joking.
Sex abuse is not a joke.
Yeah.
But this is clearly my son at like age 15 or something.
Yeah. And then Micheal Jackson also had like he targeted certain people and he did it repeatedly. So he did it multiple times. So he knew how to game the system and how to like cherry pick the people that he was going to do it to.
Anyone who does this, a serial killer, a serial rapist, a serial child molester, a serial anything, you get a pattern, I guess, and then you keep going after the pattern.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
What was his type? I didn't even know.
It was like kids, 7 to like 10 years old. Boys who could dance, from what I could tell.
Wow, weird.
Because he'd like bring them up on stage and they'd dance next to him, and then if they were good, they were into it, then he would like teach them dance moves.
Minded of him at that age, and then
must have had stuck with his mind. And it was like weird because he would like phase them out and like pit them against each other. So he'd be like, "Oh, Jimmy's my favorite now. You go sleep on the couch." Jimmy's and then like he'd be like, "Oh no, I hate Jimmy. I want to be next to Michael." So it'd be really messed up. And like as they like became teenagers, they became more difficult. And I guess Michael didn't want to deal with the difficulty of like teenage emotions and actual sexuality.
Angst. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's strange.
No one really talks about this one either. The
Mitch Hedberg?
No, the moonwalk is one of the best dance moves of all time. Like everyone pretends to imitate it, but have you ever seen someone do one in real life? I know how to do it. I can't do it. Like I know all the steps.
Just because he's so smooth.
I do them. Oh my god, he's smooth. Good lord. If you just Google how to moonwalk, like it's pretty easy.
It's like you push off with different parts of your foot.
Yeah, it's like reverse walking. You just lift your toe and then slide it backwards, and then lift your other toe and slide it backwards. But you have to do it like in unison while moving backwards, and you can lean forward or lean backwards while you're doing it. He's incredible.
He's good.
He's the best dancer of all time. He revolutionized dance. He just a few kids
fucked it up. So, Mitch Hedberg joke? I think you want to make it.
No, I which one?
It's like, it's okay if you say that you really love kids, but when you specify an age...
You're only getting in trouble when you specify an age. Man, I love kids. Man, I love 7-year-olds.
Yeah. Oh. All right.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that completes our episode for Predators here. Unless you have something to add.
And something to do. We should probably say like you should contact someone if you think someone's.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean these are simple things, but like you imagine watching the episode and be like, I think I know someone. I'll just leave it at that. You should obviously contact someone if you really, really know. Really, really know. Or even have suspicions.
You should cut that person out of their life, because when you challenge the person who's doing this, they could be harmful to you, but if you try to cut them out, they'll react more harshly to try to like bring you back in, and then I think you know. There's a point where Michael was like, I always get what I want. Like when the parent was like, I'm gonna take him, and then he's like, no, I want him to stay. Like it becomes very obvious that that person's attached to your child in some weird way. So I think at that point, you just probably isolating that person from your life is probably the best choice.
So this came up before, and real quick hit. The guy who used to sell GIMP, right?
The Gimp
He was
Man.
like 380 pounds, and he
The
rode
Night
around
Man.
on a bicycle.
Yeah.
He rode around on his bicycle and would come by the kids at their summer camp and sell them GIMP out of a bag for like a quarter.
You gotta
like
pay the
50
toll.
cents or whatever. Gotta pay the toll. But he would sell it to everybody, and like he would have little knickknacks for the kids. All the parents, it didn't occur to me then, but like we're like, watch your sister around him. Don't talk to him. Don't go anywhere with the GIMP man. And I'd be like, who knows? This guy's a loser. Like he's just selling GIMP. Like, you know what I mean?
Did the the sex abuse list, registry, sex offender list? I don't know if that existed back then. I guess you could check that list because the person's not going to be Michael Jackson.
Didn't exist
They might be an offender already.
Yeah, I don't know. And just because he isn't on the list doesn't mean he isn't, too.
Yeah.
But like it occurred to me later in life, the people, my parents were like, this person could be a sexual offender.
Yeah, they knew it because they were aware.
Well, could be. Well, even if he wasn't, just like
weird.
Let's watch him around this one.
Well, as an adult,
his house, he sounds so cool, and you're like, no.
But even just meeting random people, I feel like you can tell immediately where they kind of are and if they're being fake. Like, if they're saying things that are disingenuous, you can kind of feel it. Like, you can tell that they don't really mean it. So, like, if they're trying to trick you in some fashion, like, just distance yourself from that person. They're weird.
Okay, but that's just weird people in general who lie about weird stuff.
Yeah, but I think it feeds into the same profile.
Could be.
Predators.